Are you one of those people who can understand English, but when they have to speak, it kind of feels like the words won't come out? Welcome to my channel, io sono Miriam Romeo e se capisci l'inglese ma non riesci a parlarlo come vorresti, then I would love to be your English coach. If you want a quick fix for your English pronunciation, I have a free mini lesson for you. Just click on the link in the description box below. I hear a lot of people say that they've reached a point where they can understand almost everything in English because they've been watching movies, TV shows, videos, they've been listening to podcasts in English, so they're very used to listening to spoken English. But when they have to speak, English just doesn't come out. Does this happen to you too? It's a very common thing, especially among Italians, so it's not you. The explanation is actually very simple. What you're experiencing is simply a lack of practice. In English, there's this expression that says, practice makes perfect. Theory without practice means nothing. Because it doesn't matter how many hours you spend on Netflix or on YouTube watching English movies, English TV shows and videos, the fact that you're watching and listening to English a lot doesn't mean that when you have to speak, it will come out naturally. It's not an automatic step. Knowing something in theory and being able to do it in practice are two completely different things. This is true about everything in life. When we have to learn how to walk, how to swim, when we have to learn how to drive. When you're learning how to drive, you may know the theory, but then when you have to actually do it and you have to coordinate all your limbs, it's just difficult, right? It's not automatic yet. But after a while, when you practice and you make mistakes and then you practice again and then you repeat the movements, after a while, it becomes automatic. Now, when you drive, you don't think about what you're doing with your legs or with your hands, do you? The same goes for when you're learning to play an instrument. If you're learning the piano, you may study the theory, you may watch other people play, you may, again, watch all the videos in the world and read all the books in the world. But then when you have to play, you may know where your fingers should go, but until you do it with your fingers, you will struggle. You will make a lot of mistakes. So what do? You practice, you do exercises, and you practice and you practice and you practice the same things over and over and over again until you can reach a point where you just play something without even thinking about it. For everything that we do and that we do automatically, like walking, swimming, running, anything, right? Playing an instrument, again, dancing. You got there by doing, by practicing and by repeating and repeating and repeating. Because this is how it works. When you have to learn something new, you have this blank canvas in your brain, okay? And when you do it once, it just doesn't stick, okay? When you have to do something that involves your body, that involves some kind of movement, you need more than just your brain, than just your intelligence. All these things and all the things that we do in our life, that we do physically, that involve some kind of activity, work thanks to something called muscle memory. So it's not just about your brain, it's about your muscles as well. So when you're walking, you have to teach your body how to do it, and then it becomes a habit, it becomes automatic. But at first you struggle. When you learn how to walk, it's not easy. You learn how to walk by repeating and falling and making mistakes and repeating the movements until you just do it without thinking. I don't think that when you walk, you think of, okay, now the left foot goes forward. You don't do that. It would be impossible to perform any kind of activity. And it's the same for smaller movements, activities that involve smaller muscles or smaller movements like, I don't know, eating or writing or speaking. Because speaking, even though you may seem like you're not moving, you're not doing a physical activity, you actually are. All around here, we have a lot of muscles, small muscles. Your tongue is a muscle, all the muscles down here. This is called a phonatory system, and it's made up of a lot of things, a lot of muscles, a lot of nerves. So in order to speak, you train all these things. and you use all these things. You move something. So speaking is a physical activity. It may not be as big or as noticeable as dancing, but the process is the same. It's less fatiguing, it's less tiring, it's less difficult, less complex, but it still requires you to do repetitions, to do practice and not just the theory. If you're used to the sound of English and you understand most of it and you know what it sounds like and how you should speak it up here, but until you practice enough, you will only know it in theory, or you will reach a point where your knowledge of English, your English in your mind is so much better than your spoken English, and that creates a lot of frustration. I know this from personal experience. I was experiencing this enormous frustration because what was lacking was practice. And I'm also talking about all the small movements, all the details of the pronunciation, because a good pronunciation doesn't just happen if you don't practice. You may know the sounds, how they should be pronounced, you may recognize the sounds, but until you practice them, you won't reach that level of proficiency and fluency that will allow you to consider yourself bilingual. Your Italian is not just the result of your knowledge of Italian, it's mostly the result of your practice of speaking Italian. When you pronounce words in Italian, when you speak, you don't think about where you put your tongue or how wide is your mouth when you're pronouncing a. You don't do that. You do it automatically. But all these things became automatic because you practiced. You did it when you were a kid, so you don't remember, but you know you did. Children, when they're young and they're still learning how to speak, they learn something new and they repeat it over and over and over. And they don't do it to annoy us, they do it to learn it. That's how it works. Children do it instinctively because that's what we do. It's something natural to us. We don't remember anymore, but that's the process. Practice the English that you already know. Just open your mouth, move your lips, and pronounce English. Just use it, speak it, okay? All languages have two macro areas, a passive one and an active one. Reading and listening are passive. You just receive the language, you absorb it. The active areas made up of writing and speaking. You're producing the language. But being able to write in English proficiently won't help you become fluent. Here we're talking about speaking. That's your active part. It's your active practice because practice makes perfect. So don't just passively receive the language. Understanding a language perfectly and not being able to speak it perfectly or at the same level is very frustrating. It's a horrible feeling. It's like you have a useless talent. Like you know you're good, but you can't show it to anyone. And again, I've been there for way too long. So I want you to try today, right after this video, play something that you like, a movie, a TV show, and pick a line. And it has to be a short line, something that you understand the meaning of, something that you like, and something that you're familiar with, something that's pretty simple and common, but still a little bit challenging for you, pronunciation-wise, maybe. Press play, listen to it, and watch the actor or the actress or the person pronounce it. Pause and repeat it the same way, with the same volume, the same speed, the same pitch, the same body language. Give your best impression of them. And I know it might sound weird or silly because you don't have the time, you don't want to do it. No one has to see you, no one has to know, and it only takes a couple of minutes, maybe seconds even. And the best thing you can do, of course, is to repeat it more than once until you can say it automatically without thinking about it while doing something else, and at different speeds. So I hope this was helpful, and if you're not too ashamed, you can tell me in the comments below if you've tried it and what you think. I really hope you start practicing because there's no other way, there's no other secret, there's no other shortcut. If you want to become fluent, you want to become bilingual, you have to practice. Now, before you close this video and before you start practicing, just click down below so you can watch my free pronunciation lesson. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.